Hey, everybody, it's me again, Bree with Quiet Power. Welcome to Quiet Power again, the space where we have honest conversations about healing, purpose, courage, and the strength that grows within us when we choose to evolve through life's experiences. And I am your host, Sheree. I am so glad you are here today. I am joined by Swann, a multidisciplinary visual artist, photographer, videographer, and a creative entrepreneur, originally from Bridgeport, Connecticut, and based in Atlanta, Georgia. She is the founder of CultrCliq Collective and the apparel brand Wild Seed Butik. Through photography, fashion, and visual storytelling, Sheree creates work that celebrates culture, individuality, and the beauty found within everyday life. Her work centers authentically, community, and powerful ideas that art can help people see the beauty within themselves. Today, we are exploring a meaningful conversation about calling, comfort zones, fear, personal growth, healing, and how travel can sometimes reveal parts of ourselves we didn't even know were waiting to be discovered. So welcome, Sheree.
Thank you.
U.S. versus Ghana. Do you feel like they are going through similar issues like we're going through here?
Honestly, I just know that things are continuing to fall apart stateside. I can't say that they're going through the same thing, that Ghana's going through the same thing as the US. I know what's happening in the US is, I can't say the words right now, but it's that kind of a show. And like I said, things are falling apart. Here, no, not in the very least bit similar or put in the same paradigm as far as what's happening stateside whatsoever. And not to say that there's no issues here, right? Economy wise and whatnot, politically and whatnot, because I believe every place has their thing. But to compare, by no means. I kind of just want to sit back and I'm grateful that I am where I am. If we want to talk about comparing, being stateside or being here, yeah, it's craziness that's happening. That part I know. But what I'm privy to here is like count your blessings that I am here, and
Yeah.
so that's what I'm doing.
It's good. All right. So you stepped out of your comfort zone and made that switch to come travel out of the country. How do you feel a good way for people to realize it's okay to travel outside of your comfort zone?
There's a few things, a few things. Maybe I'll say, if you get the idea to travel, listen to your gut and explore, right? It's not coming to you for nothing. The world, you'll hear some people say the world is so small, blah, 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 and that's in terms of knowing people, meeting people that's connected, 6 degrees of separation. But in the same breath or the same side of the other side of that same coin is the world is so big. Right? It's like there's so much to see. And so I don't subscribe to being in one place forever. So if anyone has an inclination, a thought, what have you, a nudge, something is calling them to explore outside of their own community, city, state, what have you, go for it. But do your research, talk to others. But yeah, the only way really to know is if you dive on in, but do it in a smart way, right? Do it in an educated way. So I would say go for it.
I'm going to get there one day.
You're going to get there one day. Yes, you are. Yeah. What's holding you back? What's holding you back?
I really don't know. I'm like, wait a minute. I don't know. I keep saying I'm going to go, but I haven't just stepped out and just did it. But I'm going.
So that's even more reason to, especially if you don't know.
Yeah.
Right?
I agree.
The only thing you need is your passport.
Yeah, and I got
right?
that.
So boom, that's it.
Right.
A passport and a ticket. A passport and a ticket. That's all you need. And the will to go.
But
that's all you
I'm
need.
the one, I'll be the type that'll do a one-way ticket. You see, I'm one of them. I'm that ready. When I step out on faith, I step out.
Right.
I'm out.
No,
That's how
right.
I ended up in Georgia. I just stepped out and left home.
Love that.
Question again. So what did traveling the world reveal about yourself that you did not know and you discovered about yourself?
What did it reveal? I think the revelation may still be unfolding at this time. What I can say is that it's just confirmed that I'm not afraid to go, right? I'm not afraid to do the thing. especially, and I can't say especially coming here because I didn't come here alone, meaning I'm not here alone. I do have a fellow that's doing this fellowship with me, the host family of Habasha and Kazi, like they've been amazing. And the partners with our space world, that family's been amazing as well. So there's definitely community here, as well as the staff and everybody else that I'm meeting along the way. I would just say though, where I was going with that is that sometimes you could feel very, very small in a big foreign place, right? I can feel like I'm overwhelmed and it's just like, which way do I go? Just as far as having to navigate and learning how to navigate. But even with that, some may have scare about that, about the unknown. Which way? I don't know where I'm going. I got to get on public transportation. I got to get on a motorbike, right? I don't even get on a motorbike at home in the States. Like I got to get on a what? I got to get on a trotro, and where is it going? Like, am I going to understand where I got to get off, or is there going to be a language barrier? Are they going to understand me? You know what I mean? And so it's just the navigational aspect. It can be overwhelming, especially if you let it be overwhelming, right? And so, and that's kind of like what I experienced today a little bit, because once I got out of the vehicle, because we were running errands and shopping and everything, and I had to leave my bags in the car because they were going to their, an appointment, and they were like, okay, we're going to let you off over here, find your way back to the house. Just ask for the troll to take you, make sure it's going to Medina. And, I was like, huh? But then I was like, I heard what you said, but huh? I heard what you said, but huh? And then, right. And I got out at the stoplight because, the way traffic is set up, it's like Atlanta traffic on 1,000 on steroids and everything. So I was just like, I'm ready to jump out as soon as this car stopped. Okay, I bust a right, boom. Yeah, you'll run right into where the taxis and the trolls are. And he said, you'll see the people. And I walked, and I just had to do as the locals do, right?
Yeah.
And that was it.
Can you tell if somebody is visiting versus the locals that live there? Like, did you stand out?
So that's what I was asking somebody that I met from here the other day. We had to go into Accra, and I was telling him how I feel like somebody took advantage and jacked the price up on a taxi for my ride. And, he was like, well, you got to say certain things, but more importantly, they'll get you when they hear the accent. So he was like, your appearance, he was like, you kind of, fit in a bit. You kind of look like it a bit. He was like, but once you open your mouth and they hear my accent, it's a wrap. Like, there's no more local prices. It's, it's the foreigner's price, if you will. And so standing out, I guess that's subjective. But I feel like I stand out, right? Just because like the glasses I had on, the frames I had on, I just felt like, okay, people just automatically gonna assume that I'm not from here. Even going back to the car that I took on Saturday, and I was picking up on certain terminology. I was picking up on certain terms that they were using in their language, and I was like, not the abroni. I was like, and I said that out loud. I was like, not the abroni, right? Because I don't know what they were saying, but abroni is like, it's like a term for like, white man, or like a white man, or like a white person. But then some people also associate Americans with, just being an abroni. And so,
They
certain
put us
things
all
like
in one
that.
box. Yep.
Yeah. Even clearly I don't, I don't
Right.
look like that, but.
All right. Do you believe that fear is sometimes a signal pointing us toward where we need to grow the most?
Absolutely.
Yeah,
And you
me
know
too.
what? And that part, grow the most. I feel like fear is a signal because too many of us, like, we can easily be complacent. And when you are complacent, you're content, right? And it's like, okay.
All right. So pick back up on the fear.
Yeah. So I feel like fear is nudging you in a direction to just go towards, like, you got to lean in, right? Lean into it because it's not coming to you for nothing. You're feeling that feeling for a reason. And I was speaking about being complacent. So many of us can easily be complacent. We're content where we are. Nothing is challenging us, or we don't take on challenges. For me, I believe that if I have that feeling of being fearful, the only way to conquer that or to, get through it is to do it. Right. And so address the fear by just leaning in so that whomever can get to the other side. Right. Because you never know what's going to be waiting for you, and you might be better for it. And it just may open up a whole new world once we start addressing our fears, conquering our fears. Because fear for what? Right. Be
And I
fearful.
think that has me doing a podcast. So I did podcasts years ago, I think like 2018, around that time. And I was nervous then, but I was told that I have the voice for a podcast or radio, whatever. So try it out. So I said, okay, I'll try it out. And I loved it. So then
Yeah.
life took over.
Yeah.
Then I got back into my little cocoon and I
Yeah.
was isolated myself for a while. And I was trying to learn more about me to know what were my, things that I can do to help better myself. So I shut everybody out. And it was no love lost to anyone. It's just I was focused on me. And it made me realize that I have no fear. And I kind of shock people when it comes to that type of stuff because they're like, girl, what do you mean you don't have no fear? But they see it.
Yeah.
And I'm not just talking it. They actually see me in action and realize I have no fear. So it took me years to get to that point, but now I got the podcast back and I feel like it could do more for me than it did the first time. And I also realized that I was brought back to it for a reason. So like you said, you never know what it can do for you. So that's where I'm at with it. I stepped out on faith again to try to see if podcasting is for me, and hopefully it does something.
Yeah.
And that's where I got my name, Quiet Power, from, because during my isolation period, I was quiet, but I was still powerful. So that's basically what brought me to create the show called that, because I'm still making moves. I'm just not loud about it.
Okay.
We got this last question. So for someone who feels a calling to do something big, but fear is holding them back, what would you say to them?
Yeah, I would just say don't limit yourself. I would say if something is calling you, but fear is something that's present, I would just say dive right on in. As they say, fear is what? False evidence appearing real. So it's a construct of the mind. The thing is coming to you to do, and you feel like it's going to be something that is good for you, that's going to make you smile, bring joy, make you grow, help you grow, conducive to something that's greater for you in life, why would you not? Right? Even if it's just the experience to have some joy, to do something that you haven't done before, why would you not? Like, we're here to live life, right? And it's about the experiences that we have as well.
I see that you learned how to swim recently. Do you feel like that's part of that? Or you were meant to learn today.
And they were asking me like if I know how to swim and whatnot. And I was like, I know how to float, but basically swimming not yet. So anyways, the instructor said something to me and he was like, something like, am I afraid or something? And I was like, basically, and I didn't have a cap on my head. And he was like, are you afraid to get you here? Are you afraid to, go underwater? And I was like, no. And then so he was like, okay, well, let's try some things. And so I ended up having an impromptu session. He led me the way to where I was able to swim underwater from one side of the pool to the other side. First, I was doing it with his assistance. He had my hands. He was guiding me. Then he gave me the paddle just to hold out. And I was still fluttering my feet on my own. And then I did it without him. Like, you can't tell me anything. Like, I was so lit inside. I was like, what?
No, that was a good feeling.
Yeah, that was like a major accomplishment. I'm like, people have no idea. Like, that's been a goal of mine. And for that to happen, like, legit yesterday, yeah, I'm super proud.
Yeah.
But I had to tell him, speaking to your question, he was like, are you afraid? He's like, you're afraid. I said, you know what? I said, I realized I'm not trusting myself. I'm not trusting myself to be one with the water. I'm not trusting myself to, hold my breath and do what I need to do underwater, and to where I'm almost like not a freaking out per se, but like I'm like catching myself really quickly to come up when all I have to do is just relax. Like he said, like just relax. I need to trust myself.
There you go. There it is. Because even when it comes to swimming, you can't be tense and tighten up because you you drowned, so you had to let go. Yeah, that's good. That is real. All right. Well, Sheree, I thank you for coming back on here to help make this right.
Yeah.
So I'm going to end with this. I think this conversation really went well, and it speaks to the heart of what quiet power is all about. Trusting the inner voice, allowing growth to happen, and understanding that strength does not always look loud. Sometimes strength looks like movement. Sometimes it looks like surrender. Sometimes it looks like saying yes, even while fear is still present. So I thank you again for sharing your heart and your wisdom and your journey with us. And it was truly a gift to have you on the show. So thank you for joining us on Quiet Power.
Thank you for having me.
No problem. Love you back, girl.
Okay, we'll talk soon. I appreciate you.
Oh,
Thank you.
no problem.
All right.